Coming up tonight on YCN News, despite a change in the planned location, Bellows Falls residents continue to oppose the proposed prison. New Hampshire residents take to the polls to make their voices heard. And the Sunapee girls basketball team are state champions. For more news, weather, and sports that matter most, it's time for YCN News, bringing you your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening. It's Tuesday, March 8th. I'm Abby Peel in for Kurt Weedy tonight. And we begin tonight with some potential good news for snowmobilers and four-wheelers in Claremont, as a nearby 2-mile area of trail that connects the Arrowhead Recreation Area with a network of trails near Washington Street may reopen to riders. The New Hampshire Department of Transportation has submitted a 4-page letter to the federal government recommending it approve a waiver submitted by the city to allow ATVs and other motorized vehicles to use the trail. Currently, the trail is not being used per United States code that prevents motorized vehicles on land paid for by the federal government to construct a bicycle or pedestrian path. But safety officials say that while the former rail bed was paid for with federal funding, construction of a bike and walking path was not. The New Hampshire Department of Transportation recommended the Federal Highway Administration Division grant the conditional approval of the waiver for a 2 to 3 year trial period. And well, just days after Windham County Sheriff Keith Clark announced a potential new location for a $23 million pretrial detention facility on 11.7 acres of land in Rockingham, community activist group Rockingham for Progress has vowed to fight the project. The group, you may remember, played a vital role in organizing against the prison's original location on the riverfront within the village of Bellows Falls. But despite the group's pressure, Clark cited findings from a structural engineer that said the Paper Mill Road building was in terrible shape as a reason to find a new location. Clark announced last week that the county was in the process of purchasing the 11.7 acres of land outside the village along Route 5, and that if all goes to plan, the sale would be official by April. A Rockingham for Progress representative told the Eagle Times yesterday the group plans to continue pursuing a petition to the zoning board that would prohibit a prison from being built anywhere in Rockingham. Crossing back into New Hampshire now, a proposed major expansion to the James W. Campion III rink in Lebanon was met with major opposition from both zoning board members and residents during a public hearing last night. The Recreation Project and Improvement Society, which operates the Route 10 ice rink, was before the board to unveil plans of a 56,000 square foot addition that would almost triple the building's footprint and expand the rink's parcel from 14 to 18.3 acres. Neighbors of the rink have accused the Recreation Project and Improvement Society for not living up to promises made when the building was originally constructed in 1987, including shielding nearby Gould Road homes from light and limiting operation hours at night to reduce sound. Neighbors say sound is even an issue when the facility is closed. However, as loud compressors run all night to keep the building cold. If approved, the expansion would include 2 additional ice rinks, adding parking and updated lobby and locker room space. And now a sad story out of Marlborough, Vermont, as a house fire yesterday afternoon on Auger Hole Road killed 2 women. According to state police, the Marlborough Fire Department responded to 5113 Auger Hole Road yesterday, shortly after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, on reports of a residential fire. Once on the scene, crews were notified by a homeowner, 73-year-old Nancy Milligan, that her 2 daughters had not made it out of the residence. Firefighters entered the home and found 41-year-old Laura Milligan and 46-year-old Elizabeth Milligan dead on the 2nd floor. The cause of their death has not been determined, pending the results of autopsies conducted by the Chief Medical Examiner's Office in Burlington. Officials say the fire does not appear suspicious in nature, but that is the cause of the fire is still under investigation by both Marlborough Fire Department and the Vermont State Police. The home was deemed a total loss. After the break on YCN News, a trophy returns to Brattleboro. We'll have more coming up.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News this evening. I'm Abby Peel in for Kurt Weedy. Now for an interesting story out of Brattleboro, as the antique trophy won by the 1922 Brattleboro High track team has been returned to the school thanks to the efforts of some proud alumni. According to the Brattleboro Reformer, Jay Meyer, a 1980 alumni of Brattleboro Union High School and a member of the Facebook group I Grew Up in Brattleboro, saw a post online saying the trophy was at a Greenfield, Massachusetts antique shop. Meyer then coordinated with other alumni in the group who decided the trophy needed to be returned and organized a trip to the Massachusetts town to recover the trophy. Meyer said he drove to Greenfield on March 3rd and purchased the historic cup-style trophy for $200. Once in his possession, Meyer notified Brattleboro Union High School principal Steve Perrin of the situation and arranged to deliver the trophy to the school the following day. The trophy is now being displayed in the school's main entryway. And staying in the Green Mountain State, a 31-year-old Athens, Vermont woman was killed over the weekend in a single-car accident on Brookline Road. According to Vermont State Police, troopers responded to the scene just south of the intersection of Miller Road shortly after 6:30 on Sunday morning to find a silver 2014 Subaru Impreza overturned in an embankment. Police say 31-year-old Jennifer Stamp was pronounced dead on the scene and was not transported to a local hospital. Police say roads were dry at the time of the accident and that speed was likely a key factor in the crash. Police added that Stamp was not wearing a seatbelt at the time the vehicle overturned. The southbound side of Brookline Road was briefly closed Sunday morning while crews removed the vehicle. State police say the cause of the accident remains under investigation and that anyone who may have witnessed the crash should contact them at 802-875-2112. A White River Junction, Vermont man trying to make a statement about censorship is being criticized by his neighbors for flying the Confederate flag outside of his Latham Works Lane home for all to see. The flag is owned by Kenny Rogers, who said it was a gift from his mother-in-law and that it does not represent any racist feelings harbored by himself or his family. Instead, Rogers argues the flag, a symbol of the Civil War era American South and its resistance to civil rights, is a symbol of free speech. Rogers' story has drawn attention from several media outlets, including the Valley News, who highlighted a meeting between Rogers and several concerned community members at his home this past Sunday, with a lengthy article in today's paper. And while the controversial flag does remain flying above the man's Latham Works Lane property, the Valley News reports that the meeting remained respectful throughout. And finally, as most of you already know, residents across the Granite State are taking to the polls today, tasked with deciding on everything from school budgets to municipal budgets to electing new city councilors and school board members. Polls in most communities from Lebanon to Warner were open from 8 a.m. this morning to about 7 o'clock tonight, so results were not available by the time of this broadcast this evening. There were several interesting issues up for vote today, however, including school district withdrawals and job-saving school budgets, so stay tuned to tomorrow night's broadcast for results from various communities throughout our region. And after the break, we'll take a look at weather, your community calendar, and sports when YCN News continues.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Abby Peel. Let's take a look at our forecast for the next couple of days. It's starting to feel more and more like spring outside, and of course with spring weather comes rain, and that will indeed be the case tonight, as we will see a 40% chance of showers this evening with lows around 38 degrees. Tomorrow looks to be the pickup of the week, as temperatures will reach a relatively balmy 63 degrees with partly sunny skies. Wednesday night we'll see a 40% chance of those showers will return, and temperatures will reach a low of 48 degrees. Thursday will feature more wet weather with an 80% chance of showers throughout the day, with highs of 54 degrees and lows in the high 30s, 38. It's time for your community calendar now, brought to you by MJ Harrington and Company, where we take a look at some events happening tomorrow. For those of you who may have trouble keeping up with all of the latest gadgets, the Aging Resource Center in Lebanon is offering technology assistance tomorrow from 2:30 to 4:30, and you can have one-on-one assistance answering any questions you may have. Reserve a spot by calling 603-653-3460. And the American Legion Hall on Court Street in Windsor is hosting a community meal tomorrow from 5 to 6 p.m. The meal is sponsored by various Windsor churches and community groups. The meal is free, and you should feel free to bring a friend. Call 802-674-2157 for more information. And in Newport tomorrow, there will be a health clinic at the Rite Aid on South Main Street from 11 to 1. You can come have your blood pressure and glucose screened, as well as consult with a trained nurse. For more information, you can contact 603-863-5766. And down by 16 points with about 1 minute into the third quarter, the Sunapee girls basketball team's chance at a second consecutive Division IV state championship against Littleton title looked slim at Plymouth State University last Friday night. The basketball team started the game in the first with an 18-12 lead, only to see Littleton go on to a 10-3 run and led by 1 after the first quarter. Littleton continued to score easily in the second and was ahead 42-31 at the half. Coach Tim Latora and his girls talked to YCN after the game.
Lost for words, kind of. So A, B, C. I don't know what comes after C, but we figured it out in the second half. The first half we had zero defense, and they did a good job attacking our pressure. Second half we made some adjustments, got some people in some different places, and forced a lot of turnovers. And I think really just kind of wore them down a little bit, which is what our plan was from the get-go. We just stuck with the process of what we wanted to do and let the result just kind of happen. It was great to see us find a way to battle out of this kind of situation. We hadn't really been in a situation like this really since last year's semifinals against this same team. And for the girls to figure out on the fly how to get out of this situation just speaks volumes to who they are as people and as basketball players. These guys have proven. These guys have proven. These guys have proven over and over again. It doesn't matter what kind of situation they're put in. They always find a way to get out of them.
The first half was shaky. I was so proud with what our team accomplished in the second half. How we dug into defense and we really got the stop.
First half not our prettiest. Definitely. I don't like to think about it. Second half we just definitely came out a lot better.
We knew that Littleton was going to come out and play with us, but we didn't they punched us and we didn't punch back. But in the second half, we kind of picked it up a little bit and we got it done.
It speaks to their character, and I love these kids, and I couldn't ask for a better coaching opportunity to be able to coach kids like this. These kids are really one of a kind. So we got our 2016 state champions with us. Back-to-back, 48 wins in a row. So proud of these kids. So you just got a quick glimpse of what I work with here. Right? Love these kids, great sense of humor. So proud of them.
Wow, congratulations to the Sunapee girls for another state championship. And now taking a look at the YCN scoreboard to check out some other local results. The Hanover girls traveled down to Southern New Hampshire University last night, facing the daunting task of taking down undefeated Portsmouth in the semifinals of the Division II tournament. And after a shaky first half, the Marauders rallied back and pulled off a stunning upset, outscoring Portsmouth 25-9 in the last half of the game to take a 44-40 win and move on to the championship game. Lebanon was on the other side of an upset, falling to 7th-ranked Goffstown Goffstown was able to break the tie and avoid overtime off a buzzer beater layup that sent the Raiders packing and sent the Grizzlies on to the final round to face Hanover. And that's been your look at local sports, brought to you by LaValle Building Supply. When we come back, YCN News will join Elizabeth D'Orazio from the Cabinet Encounter in Lebanon as she sits down with Liz Burdett of the New Hanover Recreation Department to discuss all upcoming events Hanover has to offer. We'll return with that in just a minute.
The YCN News continues in a moment.